everyone. Welcome back to Women in Manufacturing, our conversations with industry leaders. I'm your host, Miriam Farag, and joining me today is Breanne Tuttle, Head of Production at LeoStella. Thank you for joining me today, Breanne.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and expertise?
Sure. So I have an educational background in aerospace engineering, but I've primarily worked in project management after leaving the Air Force. And then I got into production management as kind of the company's needs progressed, and I grew along with that. So I'm a very organized person, and I'm good with tactical planning, which is a really good fit for a production environment.
So Breanne, let me ask you first, what drew you to a career in this industry?
I have been interested in space and aerospace since I was a kid. I grew up watching Star Trek with my dad. And when I was in 6th grade, he encouraged me to write my very first report on the space shuttle. And I did that, and I've been interested ever since. Never lost that. So I'm lucky enough to be able to have space as a career now.
Can you talk a little bit about your day-to-day at LeoStella? So what do you do as head of production?
Yeah, so my primary job is to foster the team that does the build and the test of the satellites. I ensure that they have what they need to complete the jobs. I make sure that they know the deadlines and the goals for the week and the month and the year associated with what's going on the production floor. I interact with internal customers and external customers about the progress of satellite builds. I coordinate with the customer any change notices that need to be made, any upgrades that need to be wrapped into what's going on the production floor. And then I also coordinate with the engineering teams and the supply chain teams here at LeoStella to make sure that we have designs in place and parts on time here so that we can continue our work and build satellites.
And what were the greatest barriers for you as you started out in your career?
You know, I thought about this. I am not sure that I had so many barriers starting out. I feel like I've had more barriers as I've progressed. And that might be, I don't know, backwards from what most people say, but I think starting out it was fine. And then as I've moved up, I've encountered more barriers. And I think there are a lot more mental barriers than anything else. Like people talk a lot about imposter syndrome and that's something that women struggle with. And I think that's absolutely true. And that's something that I am still working to overcome that, honestly.
Did you have any mentors as you started out in your career?
Did I have any mentors? I had some really good examples early on of women in program management. And I learned a lot from them. And that was early on in my career. I don't have as many mentors now, but it's actually on my list of things that I want to do for myself this year is find myself a mentor so that I can continue to grow.
How have you seen the industry change over the course of your career?
The space industry has changed a lot, and in just how people are producing satellites, what size of satellites are being produced. You know, it used to be just giant satellites that people worked on for, you know, decades and then launched them, and it was their one shot kind of a thing to get their mission into space. And now, you know, we're churning out satellites, you know, every couple months. And I think that's probably the biggest change is the scale of production and rate of satellites being produced. And the barriers to space have lowered significantly because people don't necessarily need to have their own satellite to get their mission into space. They can find a company like LeoStella that has satellites and can incorporate their payload, their mission onto it and get it to space. I think that's the biggest change.
And what has been a project you recently worked on that you're most proud of?
This isn't super recent, it's a couple of years old, but the first time that we used our new factory behind me and our new digital processes to finish our first satellite and ship it out the door, that was amazing. Like it was a, you know, we can do this kind of a thing. And things went pretty smoothly. That was the first one. The first one was fantastic.
Do you find challenges in your role with regard to being a female working in a traditionally male-dominant field?
I think so. I think it's lonely a little bit. I work with some fantastic women here at LeoStella, but there's only a few of us. I am frequently the only female in the room, and I know that they are frequently the only females in their respective rooms. Um, so I think it's a little bit lonely. I think there's fewer female mentors around. I think it's harder to find your place almost when you're a female in a male dominated work field. Um, I know that my viewpoint is not going to be the same as a lot of my coworkers. And so it's always a question if that viewpoint is going to be welcomed or discounted. I think for the most part, it's been welcomed. I haven't had too much trouble, but I think primarily the challenge comes from just loneliness and not having a lot of peers.
And how has your employer supported you through that journey?
I think it's a work in progress. I think they are learning how to help me, and I'm learning how to ask for help. I recently found a Women in Manufacturing conference here in Seattle for next week, and I asked to go to that conference as a kind of a networking event and see how LeoStella can get involved, and that was enthusiastically supported. So I'm able to go there. So that's one way they're helping me is finding ways that I can reach out and meet with other women in the area that are in manufacturing.
And what are some of the milestones that you have achieved throughout your career?
Two milestones that I am proud of are graduating from the University of Washington with my degree. That was a big challenge for me, and I did it. And it was something that I worked really hard at. The second one is making the leap out of my military career to my civilian career. That was a big leap of faith. The military is great. It can also be kind of the easy path, as in like everything is taken care of for you. And so making that leap out of a very secure place into the civilian world of, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this is what I want to do. So I'm proud of that moment and making that decision.
And how did that transition go for you?
I was extremely lucky when I made the transition that the person that hired me right out of the Air Force was also female and ex-military. So she knew exactly what I was going through, what I was struggling with, and what I was relearning out to be a human outside of the military. And so that was extremely helpful for me. And I hope that I can be that to somebody someday as well and provide that mentorship to someone.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Breanne.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.